We've got Aaron Clements and John Ryan Mooney standing by, waiting on your phone calls and ready to give you all sorts of good info today. So let's head to them. Here's Aaron and JR with the CNC Automotive Show.
And yes, we are standing by, ready to answer those phone calls. We also want to say good morning. And John Ryan, good morning.
Good morning, Aaron.
Are we ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Fantastic. We are both here to give you information on ways to make your car, truck, or SUV safer, to make it more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money, because we know it's your buddy. And that your buddy gets up early every morning and takes you to work, and it waits for you to get off work out there in the cold, and then you get in there and it plays you some music.
Yeah, sings to you.
Yeah, it does all those things for you, so you should really love your car. So what I'm going to recommend highly is, along with getting your significant other a Valentine's gift, I think your car deserves one.
I
really do.
I was wondering which order of priority you were talking about there.
It's been good to you. Take care of it. Okay, we have several methods to give you that information, and our preferred method is by that telephone, and we do that because we can answer the question better, and plus we get to know you a little bit, and we can ask you some questions, and I think it's just fun that way.
Yeah, it is.
So we want you to give us a call, but you also can watch us live at ccautoshow.com. So if you're near a computer or even your phone and you want to type in ccautoshow.com, and just push play, and we will be right there, and you may see us do a little dance or something during the breaks.
No, that would be you, just so you know.
Okay. So give us a call now between 8 and 10 any Saturday morning from anywhere that you might be. All you have to do is dial 706-863-5800. That's 706-863-5800. You can also watch us at ccautoshow.com. And before we fire this thing up, I do want to mention that if you're looking for a good professional automotive repair facility almost anywhere in the country that you might go to, because
16,000 to choose from.
16,000 to choose from. That's a huge number of good. These are independent shops, but these independent shops all have the same code of ethics. They all want to treat people the same way. They all get a huge amount of training, and just they're good people, because I know a lot of them. All you have to do is go to NapaAutoCare.com and go to Find a Shop, little spot there right near the right top, and and then you can type in either your city or your zip code, and you can search for the shop that's right for you. So definitely do that. If you're working on the car yourself, you can go to NapaOnline.com.
Yeah.
And you can search for a Napa Auto Parts store near you. So if you're going to get the parts anyway, you might as well. You're not going to do this with me.
I leave it up to you.
You might as well get the good stuff. Okay. All right, John Ryan, I believe, let me turn this little screw right here. All right, let's try to crank it up. Whoa, that sounds really good. Okay, we got it all cranked up and ready to go, and we'll be going to the phones in just a second. Before we do that, I'd like to mention what our theme would be today. And the theme is adaptive driving solutions. And this is something that's kind of dear to my heart, because I think it's a great thing. It's one of the best benefits of technology that I know of. And technology's made it possible for electronic and mechanical items to help those with physical disabilities to overcome those disabilities and do many of the things that at one time they wasn't able to do. And of course that includes driving and just having a lot of independence there that they may not have had.
Well, even before that, just able to get in the vehicle.
Exactly. Just getting in and out is a challenge sometimes. And sometimes it might be turning the key, but there's just so many things that have come around over the years. And we want to share some of those things. And since Daryl Zerbel of Adaptive Driving Solutions is by far the most knowledgeable expert that I know in this field, I talked to him about this show a great deal. And Daryl and his team repair, maintain, and install adaptive equipment, and they also sell and even rent adaptive vans. So when I need information about adaptive vans, I called and talked to Daryl. And one of the tips and ideas that I have during the show are notes that I made while talking to Daryl.
Yeah.
And also another thing is this show plays in a lot of other areas.
Right.
And with that, there's adaptive solution stores around them.
Right.
So the things that we'll be talking about, you will be able to buy either from one of those stores or there may be another one. The main thing that we're trying to do is let people know what is available.
Right.
So we'll be doing that all during the show, and also a pleasant surprise. And it won't be too terribly long. Daryl will be calling in.
All right,
We'll talk to
good deal.
Daryl. Okay, are we ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, I'm ready to go over to Ron if you are.
Let's go. And good morning, Ron, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I have a question about relays. I've got two different brand relays here that have different numbers on top, but on the pins, the output, they match up.
Right,
Is that
like the orientation of the
manufacturer's numbers?
Yeah, that is the orientation of the terminals is correct, is what you're saying.
Yes.
But they just have a different part number.
Yeah, the part numbers on top for the Siemens
Right.
relay is different than the Omron
Okay.
made in Canada.
Right. That could be, of course, a casting, part number. Now, the only thing that differs with relays is, of course, the amperage that they're, the job they may do. Like, for instance, one may be a glow plug that requires a lot of amperage, heavy-duty terminals, and, of course, contacts, versus, say, something like a, reverse light relay or something like that, which would, of course, do a light-duty job, low amperage. But what are you replacing the relay in a specific vehicle or for a certain
Yes,
function?
well, I got these relays, and I just want to make sure they'll interchange.
Right.
But like I say, at the terminal, the numbers coming out are the same.
Yeah, you should have 30, 87, 85, 86.
Right.
Yeah, that's a standard relay. That's your regular 4 or 5 blade relay. And again, it'll definitely get you out of a bind. If it's something you want to carry in your glove box just in case. Something what we always urge is, of course, use it until you can get to where you can get the proper one with the proper part number and that fits that needs.
Ron, are you talking about just swapping one out, or you went and bought another one, and the other one that you bought is just a different?
I was talking about swapping them out.
Oh, okay.
Both of these be used interchange with another one.
Yes, they will interchange, absolutely.
Okay. All right, that's good. I appreciate it.
All
Ron,
right.
we appreciate it also. And the number to call is...
Thank you.
Thank you. Number to call, 706-863-5800. If you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, if your service advisor might have mentioned to you that you needed a service, like it might be a brake flush, an induction service that might be needed,
Right.
just different services you might need, and you're wondering what that service does or what's the benefits of that service, we can definitely help with that. So do give us a call, or if you're hearing a funny noise.
Yeah, we seem to have a lot of timing belt questions last week.
Yeah,
here
we did.
at the shop.
I do have one thing that I was wondering.
What's that?
Okay, let's say that the wheels are scraping, and you're hearing this scraping noise under your car. That it sounds really rough and really bad.
Okay.
Why do they call it a funny noise? It's not funny.
Yes, and half the time it's of course, it could be your mailbox or something like that. That's really not that funny.
Okay, we're ready to go to the calls.
All right, let's go straight to Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Good morning.
Welcome to CNC. Why do you think that they call it when you're hearing like a clunking noise or a scraping noise or something that really sounds bad?
Yeah, like the AC compressor falls off.
Yeah.
Or
Why do
something.
they call it a funny noise?
You're asking me that question?
Yes.
Because you guys are laughing all the way to the bank when you get back. I don't know how I came up with that. That's not really related. I'm not
Oh,
a
that's
dig,
all
not
right.
a dig at you guys either.
We enjoy having fun. Well, the main thing, though,
I
and
enjoy
it is
it.
true. We enjoy doing the preventative maintenance a lot more than when something breaks. And I don't mind telling you, if something fails and it wasn't, they didn't get their money's worth out of it, I always take it personal if we
I
do
know,
service. But I mean, it is kind of weird they call it a funny noise. Okay, what can we help with?
I wanted to comment about that question the guy had about the relay.
Yes.
Sure.
And one very important aspect of that relay is the coil voltage. And I deal in industrial relays, and you can have anything from a 5-volt DC to a 12-volt, 24-volt, and AC or DC.
Right.
Sometimes that number may designate that it's a 24-volt DC or even a 5-volt DC. I use 5-volt DC relays that have the same pin-out configuration, but the coil voltage might be different.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah, very good point. Because a 5-volt relay that was accepting 12 all the time probably wouldn't last very long, would it?
About 30 seconds.
You'd see
Okay,
the
that was my
smoke come out.
comment.
All right.
Well, thanks, Bobby. Appreciate that.
Fantastic,
George.
Bobby. And that's what the show's all about. We share information and have fun at the same time. Where we're going, John Ryan?
All right, let's go to Betty.
And good morning, Betty, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. Good morning.
Good morning. I have a question for you, and I don't really know how to put it other than to explain what happened to me.
Okay.
I came out and started my car, and right behind the radio, I got a high rattle. And I turned the radio off, and it continued to rattle, so I shut the car down, went and got a friend of mine to listen to it, and it did it. Then it disappeared. Well, within a few days, I realized I had no AC, and I have no control over the heat coming out of my vent.
So is it heat all the time, or will AC just not work?
Ooh.
It heats all the time.
I got a question.
Yes.
Ooh. Betty, on this vehicle, now you mentioned you don't have AC. Now, is the air actually blowing out but not cold, or is the air not blowing?
The air will, it sounds like everything is operational, but it comes out hot instead of cold.
Okay.
I can just kind of shoot at a straw, and this is what we've seen and heard quite a few times. Of course, the AC compressor on the front of it actually has a clutch, and when you cranked it up, of course, the AC may have cut on or cut off, and a lot of times the compressor can lock up on that particular model, and then, of course, it shears the front of the compressor off. Yeah, the clutch.
On that car.
And that would cause a pretty chaotic rattle noise, and, eventually if it broke or if it did lock up, the noise would have immediately quit, and that would explain why you don't have AC any longer. So I kind of tend to go that way with it. Without, of course, having it, listening to it and whatnot. But you mentioned it's not doing it anymore either, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of what I lean
I lean right there with him, Betty. It sounds like your AC compressor has went kapooey, or the clutch on the front, and that's a technical term.
Well, someone had mentioned another technical term to me, which I had no idea what it could be. It was an air actuator.
That is possible. Inside the vehicle's dash, there's all the actuators that basically direct the airflow, whether it be defrost or vent or floor. But typically, that would only basically, if it stopped working, it would mean that you couldn't switch it from defrost or vent or floor. And they normally make like a popping noise, like something's thumping on your dash. So, but we hope that helps.
Like that.
Yeah, he's good with this stuff.
So along those lines. Okay, it is time to go to a quick break. And when we return, I'll mention some vehicles that offer the best and safest form of wheelchair transportation today. We'll be right back. And we would also like to welcome you back to the CNC Auto Show. And lowered floor minivans are the best and the safest form of wheelchair transportation today. And that includes the power chairs and the wheelchairs. And there's 4 chassis that they're built on: Dodge, Chrysler, Honda, and Toyota. And please don't miss the next tip, or please don't, and especially don't miss the phone call from Daryl a little later in the show concerning a lot of these vans if you're interested in buying one. And we would love for you to give us a call and ask your automotive questions. That's between 8 and 10 on any Saturday morning from anywhere that you might be. And the number to call, 706-863-5800. And John Ryan, who will we be talking to?
All right, Dan, let's go over to Toby.
That's a great idea. Good morning, Toby, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
Good morning, guys. How
Good
you
morning.
doing? I have a question about a Lexus GX 470. I'm wanting a car that's well maintained and serviced over the years. How many miles might you expect to get out of one of those?
On that Lexus, if it's maintained, I think you would see it up in the 350, 400,000 miles with no question, none at all.
I appreciate it. That's all I need to know. And thank you. You guys have a good day.
You
Thank
do the
you
same.
very much. That was fast.
Yeah, that was good.
Who are we going to now?
All right, let's try Bernard.
Hey, Bernard. Welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
Good morning.
And good morning to you.
Yes. Oh, my question is, I have a 1990 Toyota Supra. I'd like to know where's the blend door actuator located at. I'm not getting in the heat or no air.
You can carry a blanket.
Yeah, get you one of those little plug-in heaters from Napa.
Yeah.
Bernard, tell us
I don't think that'll work.
tell us exactly what's happening. Are you not getting any vent flow? Like, is there no volume coming out of the vents, or what's going on? with it?
I'm getting plenty of vent flow.
It's the temperature
air's not
itself.
getting hot.
Okay, well,
Like-
this may be a good thing. Of course, you're looking at something inside the dash, and I'll be honest with you, you don't want to mess with that. Nobody does.
Yeah.
That particular vehicle actually has a heater core valve basically in line. And what happens a lot of times, basically it blocks the flow of the coolant into the heater core so that when you have AC, of course, it doesn't have to cool the heater core down also. And basically that valve can break, it can stick, the cable can come off of it. There's several different things that can happen to that valve and allow no coolant flow in the car, which would of course give you no heat. So if you pop the hood and look for the heater hoses, there will be a valve that's blocking one of those hoses. You'll see it. It's kind of a little square box with a lever on top of it. And visually, I mean, there's only a few things you can do. Make sure that cable is connected to the top of it. Because if that cable, that's what a lot of times happens on those Supras. The cable comes off the top of it. There's a little plastic clip that's supposed to maintain the cable on there. And a lot of times the plastic clip breaks because of how hot that valve gets. Just kind of inspect that. Again, just look at the heater hoses. It's going to be on the passenger side of the vehicle all the way back at the firewall. And see if you can track down that valve. And that, I really hope that's what it is, because, again, that's outside the vehicle. If you get into the blend door inside, that's a pretty tough job.
Bernard,
and you say it's a little square box, right?
That's right, a little square box with a lever on top of it and a cable going to it.
Bernard, how do you think these would work? You know, you see on television they have those things, snuggles, that they use for sitting on the couch and watching TV.
Let's start it with a Snuggie.
A Snuggie, is that what it is?
I had one, but it's still on the couch, though.
You have a what now?
I do have a snuggle, but it's on the couch.
Oh, okay. But, the only thing is don't both of your feet go in there. So that's the only drawback to having those in the car.
Yeah. I think they make an automatic transmission version of those Snuggies and a manual transmission.
It's a little difficult to hit the brakes when you do that.
Sorry about that, Bernard. Can't control them.
Thank you, Bernard. We appreciate the call.
Okay, thank you very much for that
Thank you.
information.
That was Bernard in South Carolina. Okay, we will mention something about wheelchair lifts. A wheelchair lift is a mechanical platform designed to raise and lower to allow an individual with a wheelchair or a power chair to enter into a vehicle. And there's a lot of different styles of those wheelchair lifts to fit most individual needs and lifestyle. A wheelchair lift can provide the independence to go where you want, when you want to, and I think those are a really neat thing to have.
Absolutely.
And especially that coupled with a minivan that you can get in and out. So those are really good.
Well, it's really amazing how they fit all that equipment into a vehicle. Well, like you mentioned, that's several platforms, but Chrysler Town and Country, for instance.
And what I really like is the nice, neat job that's done.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, cutting the floor out and everything's a big task.
They've come so far as making the kits in a way to where they almost look like a completely factory type job.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And look really good. Okay, and we also want to get the fuel report real quick. And drivers are saving, get this, $1 per gallon from the 2015 peak price reached this past June. And the national average has spent 32 consecutive days below the $2 per gallon benchmark, and that is really neat. Today's average price of $1.80 per gallon is the lowest price since 2009, and gas prices have fallen for 24 of the past 26 days. And here's the good part, the really good part.
Oh, that was pretty good, though.
It was very good, but the prices are not expected to go back up anytime soon.
Yeah.
So if they'll keep
Kinda
keep low
maintain
like
there.
that, really neat. So with that, I'll just have to say, enjoy your springtime road trips, America, and that's our fuel tip for today. And
Ready to
John
go to the
Ryan,
phones?
Yep, we
All
are
right.
ready to go. Who are we going to?
Let's go over to Moses.
Fantastic. Good morning, Moses, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
Yes, I was just listening to the fuel report to know if Newt Gingrich had won the presidency of the United States back in 2012, he'd be a genius now. You know, he said he could get it down to 250, and we're down to about 150.
Yes.
And you know, I don't give the present administration any credit for it because they were against everything that's have happened, and it happened anyway. You know, the fracking and all that, and certainly that's helped bring down the price of fuel, or as far as putting pressure on OPEC and other international suppliers to bring their prices down, or drove down the price per barrel on the international market. Also, I'd like to mention, and I know you guys probably don't like politics in your fuel report or your show, but I'd like to mention the fact that on these pipelines, you know, if it wasn't for the fog of environmentalists, like the fog of war, you know, we'd get good information on what's going on with fuel and the distribution of fuel in this country. The argument has been from the environmentalists that the reason for the Palmyra pipeline is to ship fuel from Baton Rouge, Louisiana to Jacksonville, Florida to export it. Why would you do that? You could go out of the port of Charleston closer, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana closer, or even send it back up to Houston if it was to ship it out of the country for a lot less expense. You know, so I just want to get that in as far as fuel report goes.
Yeah, there is a lot of factors involved in that, and there's and there's a lot of things that I feel like could benefit in that area. But also, there's a lot of things to do with a lot of other factors involved. You have the eminent domain issue. You have there's just so many factors involved that it takes a lot more than this show to
There's no
to
doubt
cover
about
all
that.
that. But I think it is great for people to call in from time to time and give us some information on
For sure.
on things in that area, because that's what we try our very best to do, is give information in all areas to do with your automotive needs. And now it is time to go to a break. And when we return, we will have Daryl Zerbel from Adaptive Driving Solutions, and that's in the Augusta area, to share some professional information on Adaptive Driving Solutions. We'll be right back. And we are standing by ready to go, but we're going to go straight to James in Georgia. Good morning, James, and thank you so much for holding.
Not a problem, John. I have a 99 Dodge Grand Caravan. It is in limp mode. I've changed the solenoid in front of the transmission with a brand new one, but it still won't shift out of second gear.
So the transmission's physically stuck in second gear. What about if you manually pull the lever all the way down in first gear? Does it go in first gear?
Well, when I first started up, it'll change from first to second.
Okay.
From low to second, but it won't change out of second.
Okay, so second's the last gear it's going in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't get above about 35 miles an hour.
In reverse, right? Nah, just teasing.
I haven't tried reverse yet.
What any trouble codes, any P700 codes, anything like that?
No light on the dash or nothing.
Okay. As far as the reason I asked about the trouble codes is if you read codes with a, what's the right word? I don't want to say generic, but an aftermarket scan tool, it will not give you transmission codes on that particular model because, of course, like you mentioned, you replaced the solenoid pack on that. Well, that solenoid pack is also the trans control module. So that's the reason I asked if it had any trouble codes in there, because a lot of times you put a scan tool in there, you read the codes, and it says nothing. Because it's not actually talking to the right module, basically, is what I'm trying to go or hit at.
Yeah.
So it would be important to find a scan tool or to find a way to get the trouble codes out of the TCM or the trans control module. As far as the the module itself, that solenoid pack, there is a relearn feature that, again, you have to have a scan tool for, and it's called the clutch variation learn. And it basically what it does, it with that new solenoid pack, because it has a memory in it, it learns the clutch pack thickness so that it can adjust the shift pressures and, of course, the shift times and so on. So it is important. Now, I don't think it's going to fix the issue at this point, but it is very, very important to relearn that transmission. However, as far as the only in second gear, when you manually shift the transmission, if you go from 1 to 2 to 3, and then, of course, D, have you tried that? Will it go into third gear then?
I hadn't tried that yet.
Okay. Try that, because what we want to know is if it's an electrical problem, physically causing it to stay in second gear. For instance, if, like you mentioned, a solenoid stuck or something like that. And no doubt the fluid level's dead on. This is the one you check in neutral?
Yeah, it is full.
Okay. Yeah, because I think what will help you the most is, of course, finding out if there's any trouble codes in there. Because there's two speed sensors. There's an input and an output speed sensor on those. You probably saw them when you were replacing that valve or the solenoid pack. Matter of fact, you have to unplug both of them.
One in the back.
That's right. You could have an input speed sensor saying it's only running 30 miles an hour when it's 50, and of course that's why it would be in second gear. So there's a lot of information that trans control module would give you. Unfortunately, that's the bad part about when a vehicle has more modules than just the ECM or the car's computer. Most scan tools won't talk to the rest of them and kind of lead you in the right direction.
Okay.
James,
Now,
it sounds like you could just hook yours to have it hooked to the factory type scan tool.
Right.
And there's other scan tools besides
It just
the
needs to be
factory ones that do
bidirectional.
that, but it has to be bidirectional. In other words, an upscale scan tool to do that. And with that, you may even have something as simple as needing to clear a code.
Well,
and
that's
take
what
it
I
to a
say,
relearn, or as complicated as
Right.
as one of the sensors.
That variation thickness, no doubt. I know that, if you replaced a valve or solenoid pack on it and didn't relearn it, typically it does shift, of course, all the way out to final drive, but it's a really rough shift and stuff like that. So I do feel like there's probably another problem, maybe it's input speed or output.
Okay, because what it did before it totally went is that I could be driving and it would get stuck, like I said, in second gear.
Right.
Put it in neutral, turn the van off,
Right.
crank it back up, and it'd be fine.
Yeah, see, that gives me a little peace of mind, because that tells me something electronic is causing that. Because for instance, if the transmission was bad, a key cycle and you pulling off on the side of the road, that would do nothing for a worn out transmission, if that makes sense. If the internal transmission was worn and it started acting up and you pull over on the side of the road and then shut it off, there's nothing that would change electronically to make it work, again, like you were mentioning.
All right. So, well, how much would it cost me if I somehow got it to you?
Typically, it runs about $105 to run all the computer diagnostics and, of course, tell you what's wrong with it.
All right. And can y'all fix that?
Absolutely. You twisted our arm.
But price range now.
Oh, well,
guy,
that's just it. It would be hard to give an estimate of what it would take to fix, because, again, it could be something as simple as that output or input speed sensor. Those are in the $150 range. It could be the reprogramming. There's so many things it could be. It would be hard to guess.
all right, because I know there's right there behind the solenoid.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a sensor there.
That's right.
And then towards the back of the transmission, there's another sensor.
Right. That's the in and output sensor.
Okay, how much are those?
That I would have to give. Aaron, what would you guess those to be?
They would vary a fair amount from vehicle to vehicle. I'd recommend just having a diagnostic test run first, and then that way you'd be getting good, accurate information.
That's right.
Okay, fantastic. Hey,
I don't know. Jim's definitely been waiting long. Hopefully he'll wait through the news break. Love to hear his comment.
Yes. Jim, if you'll hold on for us just a little bit, we're going to be back just after news. We have been talking a lot about the systems to do with adaptive driving solutions. And what we're hoping for is that gives some people some ideas of things that they can do that will help them as far as being able to create options on being able to drive longer. There's so many different things that people can do now that will help them in so many ways to safely, very safely, continue to drive and do the things that they want to do and gain their independence back. And we had a great conversation with Daryl Zerbel though a little earlier, and it's time to shut this hour down. But before we crank up another hour, we will
be right back.
We will be right back. And thank you to our show producers, that's Sherry Moxley, Burt Dean, Ashley Brown, Zach Llewellyn, Tyler Baker, and Troy Bradley. And John Ryan and I would like to say thank you to those that tuned in, logged in, and especially to those that called in. And we appreciate you riding with us on the CNC Auto Show. We do answer those automotive questions because it's what we do. I'm Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And we are here to share information on ways to make your car, truck, or SUV safer, to make it more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. And the ways we like to do it the most is by the telephone. And that's anywhere that you might be on a Saturday morning, 8 to 10. You can give us a call just like Jim is doing right now. Jim has a comment. And good morning, Jim.
Hey.
Hello there.
Yes, I had a little static there for a moment. Before I get to my truck question, I want to comment that Daryl does a great job with that adaptive automotive. We've had 2 different vans that he worked on, modified, or just kept going over the years and did a great job. I mean, I've done work for him, cut a few trees, but even before that, we had a relationship we could just count on him to take care of those vans.
Well, I've had the great opportunity to go up there and visit many times, and we've and he's always careful. We've checked out many vans for him. If one has a problem of some kind, he always likes to get everything just right. And
of course, that goes both ways. We run into an issue with a mobility van, and we send it to them.
Send them up there. I've sent many people up that way, and I agree. He does great work, but also he cares about people a huge amount. And I like that, and that's the reason I always feel good when I send somebody up that way.
Yeah, I'd recommend him to anybody. My problem with my truck, though, is I have a 99 Ford F-350 that I work out of, 7.3 diesel, which I don't know if that matters. But when you turn the windshield wipers on, the motor shuts off. I mean, it just shuts the truck down just like you hit a kill switch. And I had one young man at a repair shop say that he did a little research, and that it's somewhat common, the way the windshield wiper motor's grounded or something. Have you ever heard of anything like that on a Ford?
Yeah,
in
Jim,
that model year 99?
I honestly can't say I've ever heard that. It does sound like obviously it's something electrical, whether it be shorting out a component that, of course, it's removing the ground from a component if it has a bad connection there. I doubt it could be enough amperage to stall the engine, and you wouldn't think so either, right?
I don't think it would.
Yeah, I would think it would pop a fuse before that, but no doubt if it's a common problem, it would take some testing, but of course to find out if whether it be pulling too many amps, whether it have a bad ground, or it could even ground to, say, some of those had the injector grounds that go right to the firewall. I mean, that's possible. It could be a bad ground there, and a lot of times when you have a bad ground, it basically kind of robs the ground from another component when you use that item. So yeah, it does sound like you're onto the right
Jim,
track.
did you say that it does this every time? I mean, almost every time.
Yeah. For several weeks now, I hate to admit it, but I've just put Rain-X on the windshield and just drove it as is because I can't get out of it because I have to
when
work
you
out
cut
of it
your
every day.
windshield wipers on,
right,
it will shut the motor off. It will.
Wow,
that is wild.
Right
I can't say I've heard that.
Yeah, I have not heard of that one. That'd be interesting to know what that turns out to be, though. But I do agree it probably does have something to do with a ground on the system.
Yeah, because I can't think of anything that would share the same power with the wiper motor as far as that would cut it off. But
the first morning that it happened, it was mist and rain, and each time the windshield wipers would come on, but I still didn't put the 2 and 2 together until 2 hours later, and he said, "Is there any chance that this only happens when you turn the windshield wipers on?" And I said, "Yeah."
Wow,
and
that is wild.
They first speculated the whole computer was going out, but I've been driving it, like I said, several weeks since, and everything works and drives fine, except if you turn the windshield wipers on.
That little small issue. Now, is it kind of good that you're not on 285 in the Atlanta area when that happens?
Yes, but again, unless I do it without thinking, I just have I haven't used windshield wipers in several weeks. I just know they're off limits right now.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
anyway, it's a crazy thing. As soon as I get a minute, I'm going to get it worked on.
We'll put our team up here of all of these people that's in here, and they're working on their computers now looking for bulletins. So if we do find a bulletin on that, we will give you a call back.
I'm actually looking at a wiring diagram. I got to figure this one out.
We're on it, Jim. Not a problem.
Okay,
Jim, keep listening. I'm going to see if I can come up with anything for you.
Okay, I'll which store should I call if I want to come and get that worked on? Does it matter which store I go to?
It doesn't matter at all. I'm going to do a little research on it. You've got me curious. So I'm at the West Augusta location.
The West Augusta, that's Dias Parkway?
That's right, correct.
Okay, yeah, that's the best one for me. Well, good deal. Thank you. I'll call you soon.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Jim, we appreciate the call. And want to mention to everyone, if you got a call, if you got a question about your car, truck, or SUV, and let's say that someone told you that you had a little needed a service.
Yeah, timing belt replacement.
Timing belt, something like that, and you want to discuss that, just give us a call. And the number to call anytime, Saturday morning, 8 to 10, is 706-863-5800. Just give us a call. Okay, we're going to mention something about licensing that a lot of people probably don't realize a lot of the changes there. Many people cannot drive now may be surprised to know that they can drive with the right vehicle. In many cases, you can add special modifications to any vehicle. You can be driving safely among the other drivers in no time. Getting a driver's license when disabled is really not that much different than for those who don't have any type of handicap. You take a driver's test that includes written and driving tests. In order to be issued a driver's license, you must show that that you're not only know the rules of the road, but you can safely drive a car without any obstructions or anything along those lines. And this may mean adding some special steering, throttle, braking, signal controls, things like that. And in some states, a second set of controls are supposed to be included. And I'm not sure what those states are, but there are some.
Kind of like an override type controls, yeah.
That you have. But I guess what I'm trying to stress is there's options available that people may not know about.
Yeah.
And things like this are built very dependable and very well now.
Even from the simple things like you mentioned earlier, I remember a customer had an issue with turning the key. And, we thought of several different things, but, we called Daryl, got that little, I guess you call it a key lever. It's the simplest thing, but that thing is amazing. I mean, it makes it so easy to crank the vehicle.
It does.
So.
Okay, we will. I tell you what, we will go to Fred. If you don't mind, what I may do is read the tech tip quiz real quickly right before we go to Fred, and I won't go through the first part because we know all the wonderful
You keep talking.
prizes.
I'm looking at my wiring diagram.
They know all the wonderful prizes that you win when you're a tech tip quiz winner. It's huge for someone to win. Here it is. And this is a true story. Miss Johnson had a 2002 Lincoln Town Car. It would not spin over on cold mornings. We checked the car and found that there was nothing wrong. If nothing was wrong with the car, why did the car fail to spin over on a cold morning? So if you have the answer, give us a call. But now let's go to
Fred.
Hey, good morning, Fred. Welcome to the show.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Question. Great. Question for you. First, let me just take a quick stab at the tech quiz, and you don't even have to get blue out because I'm
No. We have to get blue real quick. All right, come on. Let's bring blue out real quick. It won't take but a second. Okay, we're ready for you.
Okay, let me just try real quick the brushings and the I guess in the actual starter can freeze up, and I guess when it warm up they just release themselves.
Oh man,
I know, right?
See, you didn't want to get blue. That way we would feel bad and wouldn't give you the foghorn when you didn't answer it. But no, that one's not it. Nothing was wrong with the car. Period. It was fine. Okay.
Okay, question for you.
We're ready.
Got a 98 Honda Civic, manual transmission. Oftentimes it gets stuck in fifth gear, and I catch the devil trying to get it out of fifth gear. When I'm riding, if I catch the RPM right, I can bring it out of fifth gear. But if I come to a stop, okay, it's almost impossible to get it out of gear.
What year model roughly did you say?
A 98 Civic.
98 Civic. A lot of those transmissions did have.
Honda Civic.
Yeah, a lot of those transmissions did have problems with the synchronizers. Normally it was third gear. I'm surprised it's fifth, and it would do just that. You would push the clutch in, you could come to just about a rolling stop, and it would just about be impossible to get out. The synchronizers basically, of course, do just that. They synchronize the gears to where that when you, of course, go right to fifth gear, it kind of lines everything up and goes right on in. What happens is those synchronizers, they have little teeth on them, and as the teeth get worn, they actually create almost like a helical cut gear. It becomes almost like a drill bit, if you could picture that in your mind. And what happens is it will go in, but it has a hard time coming back out. So there is, unfortunately, the bad part is you'd have to go inside that transmission to address that issue. I know this sounds crazy, but do you use fifth gear a lot? Like, is it a highway vehicle or is it an in-town vehicle? Or
Yeah, I used it pretty much.
You do?
A lot.
Yeah, that may be something you would consider, of course, going into the transmission and finding out if it is the synchronizers. Because typically, there's other questions that we would normally have if it was being stuck in every gear, like is the clutch fully disengaging and stuff like that. But being that it's just fifth, I do feel
sometimes putting
the correct
fluid has been there a long time, and it can get it real sticky. Changing fluid may improve. It won't fix it,
right?
Because the fix would be the other. But there could be some things to offset it and make it a lot better.
Okay, and I guess the follow-up question would be, I know it's more in line of probably checking with the transmission place, and just question, with that being an older vehicle, would it be better to just replace the transmission, or
Fred, if it's a vehicle that you plan on keeping for a good long time, a lot of times you have to do just that, evaluate what a rebuilt one cost is versus, or remanufactured versus going in and fixing yours. Sometimes you'll find they're roughly the same price. The difference is with a remanufactured one, you get a lot of times, a 100,000-mile warranty with it, versus somebody going in and fixing just that one part and not getting a warranty for it. So it just kind of depends what your intentions are with the vehicle, and of course budget.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured that too, and I guess I was more or less just asking a general question too.
Yeah.
Do people really have, on rebuilt ones, when people go in, do they have better success? Or
I do tend to lean towards a remanufactured would be a better one, just mainly because if somebody tore it down and they may just fix that one specific synchronizer that is bad, and of course you only have that fifth gear being worked on, and then a month later, say second gear goes out, and then you're back in the same boat. So I do tend to lean towards a remanufactured transmission.
Great. That's what I want to know.
All right. We appreciate the phone call.
Appreciate it, gentlemen.
And thank you very much, Fred. And John Ryan.
I got one thing for you.
Okay, I'm ready. What is
it? You like to talk. Not that that's a bad thing, but while you were doing all that stuff, I found a wiring diagram on that truck, right? Jim's truck.
Yeah.
And I look right here, and this will make sense to you. G100, that's a ground. That's a certain ground. Right. It actually that's the wiper motor ground.
Yeah.
It shares it with the entire engine harness. Okay.
Whoa.
But guess what's on that harness in the same location?
I would say, would it be ignition?
Close. It's crankshaft position sensor.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like, and this is just shot in the dark, could be completely wrong, probably is wrong. When the wiper motor's on, it's probably pulling the ground from the crankshaft sensor, and boom, stalls it like that.
And are you able to tell them exactly where that ground wire is?
Well, it says close to the wiper motor. Of course, it does give a location, but the picture, I'll be honest, is horrible. And of course, we run into that all the time.
So it cuts the engine dead as a hammer.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Very nice. Okay, I hope he's listening and he'll be able to.
If not, just again, give us a call.
Exactly. Okay, it is time for a real quick break. And when we return, I'll mention an item that will help you before and after driving. We'll be right back. We are back, and an item that can help you before and after driving is transfer seat bases. They can be installed to allow safer transfer for those having trouble with entering and exiting the vehicle. Manual and power versions are available, and if you have a car question, give us a call. That's any Saturday morning, 8 to 10, from anywhere that you might be. All you have to do is dial 706-863-5800, and we will go talk to...
it looks like we're going to Brock.
Fantastic. Good morning, Brock, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
Morning.
Good morning.
First, I got two questions about two different vehicles. The first one is I had a
'07 GMC Sierra pickup truck, and when I touch the brakes at night, just to touch them, maybe just to stop the cruise control, my lights you see your lights do something. They just kind of like a dim real quick. I mean, it's just like a spark. I see it because I'm driving.
Oh, you're saying where are you seeing it? Like you're seeing it on the instrument
on my
panel?
Headlights.
Your headlights.
On the
okay.
headlights. Yeah.
And it dims them just a little bit.
I mean, I see it, because I drive it all the time.
Right, I got you.
Getting the wife to see it, I finally got her to notice it.
I see. How about the volt gauge? Do you notice the volt gauge, the little, the charging indicator top right?
It doesn't move.
Doesn't move. So it stays steady, but the headlights just dim just enough for you to see it.
Right.
Have you checked all the bulbs as far as every bulb is working, right?
I put new bulbs in it.
Okay. And what year? You said 07?
07.
Do you know, did you put 3157 bulbs in the back or 3657?
And these are fronts.
Okay.
The front light.
Oh, okay, I got you. The reason I ask is if you put a higher, we run into that with LED bulbs. A lot of customers put LED bulbs in, whether it be a parking light, turn signal, something like that, and it does do some kind of different characteristics like what you're explaining. What we find is a lot of times they'll have the incorrect bulb, say in a tail light or something like that. That particular truck calls for a 3157 taillight bulb, basically, and there's a higher wattage bulb that you put in there, and of course it's just drawing that much more amperage, so you can see the actual lights change brightness just slightly.
I had a headlight go out, and I went with what they recommended, but I just went with a higher grade.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. What I'm referring to is in the back of the vehicle, there's several bulbs that will actually fit that turn signal or the brake light socket. Of course, they have the same orientation. The difference would be the wattage. And, of course, if there's a higher wattage brake light, it can dim that circuit just a little bit. I don't know that like you mentioned, it probably bothers you that you see it like that. There's some electrical testing you can do to make sure it's got a good ground, make sure it's getting the right power, but I don't see it harming it in any way.
Yeah. And also check the voltage output of the alternator, make sure it's charging like it should, that you have plenty of voltage there also.
Okay. All right. The second question is, my wife's got a new car, is calling for nitrogen in the tires, and what's the upgrade of it? What does it mean? And can I just add air to it when it needs regular air? You
definitely can add air to the tire if it has nitrogen in it. It basically removes it takes the efficiency out of it. I am saying that right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It takes the benefits out of the nitrogen. And basically what the nitrogen does, it's no moisture, it's dry.
It doesn't permeate
dry
at the
air.
same
It
rate.
does not permeate through the tire as
fast.
easily.
Yeah.
Molecules are slightly larger. And so there's some benefits, but the benefits are not really large for the average driver. Let's say and one of the things that it spans less and contracts less with temperature. So many times cars with TPMS monitors, they can be real sensitive. So in some cases, it can be helpful in solving an issue there. But as far as the average driver, they never actually go fast enough or slow enough.
Yeah, just a comment on my end. I don't know that I've seen any. I can't say any benefits. It's not something that I would go crazy about, like finding, just personally.
The things that the people mention as far as benefits of nitrogen are true, but it's not as large as you would think there would be. For instance, they say helps with fuel mileage. Well, that's because the tire pressure does not fluctuate as much, and I'm talking about.
And like that's what I mean by that. Like I feel like you could haul up 2 sheets of plywood and get the same bad economy
by 1 or 2 psi. And you're right. Let's say that you're low in air and you add regular air. That's absolutely fine. It just takes away the benefit that you had from the nitrogen of being slow. And some car manufacturers have gone to it. What type vehicle is this? Is the new vehicle that's got the nitrogen?
Acadia.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
and there was a
very
time
nice
that GM was not actually using nitrogen for a period of time because of not a large amount of benefits. But I realize so many of them now are trying to do things to keep the TPMS light from coming on.
Well, that and just making it attractive, of course.
And making it attractive. So I would say if it came with the nitrogen, I would definitely use nitrogen. We carry nitrogen, and if someone wants it put in their vehicle, we do it. But it's not something I try to push real heavily. It's a customer's decision to make.
So, okay, I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
And
Thank
the
you.
number to call, 706-863-5800, anywhere that you might be Saturday morning, 8 to 10. And John Ryan, who will we be talking to?
Let's go over to Mose.
Hey, Mose, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, I called in with a tip, a gas saving tip that I started back when gas was $5 a gallon.
Uh-huh.
And it's the formula is B4. Before you start your car, adjust your seatbelt, adjust your feet, adjust your hair. You get where I'm coming from?
I
do. Very good.
Adjust your mirror before you clean your car, and turn your car off before you check your hair again. Take your seatbelt off. You know, if you do that, you'll save gas. Over the long run, you will save gas.
That is true. It might, and again, it might not be a huge amount, but little bits of fuel savings do add up a huge amount over time. Now, Moose, I'm questioning though. Now, this is just kind of neat to me. I think I think some of the things that you mentioned are kind of neat. You said that what you always do is you get in the car, and before you crank it though, you go ahead and do your seatbelt. But you mentioned that you always like to check your hair first.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the average person. I'm going not just me, because I am follically challenged myself. But you going in for an appointment or you going to work, you check your suit, you check your tie. If you're a male, you check your hair, your makeup and stuff. But the car is on.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you get there, same thing. You do the second check before you turn the car off. You sit in there idling.
That's right.
I think that's a great suggestion. I really do.
Yeah, just remember B4. Okay, that's all I called about.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a good one. Thank you.
I do like that.
Okay. All right, bye.
So do all the checking the hair and all that beforehand. Really neat. Okay, we are ready to go to. Do we have?
Well, why don't we go to a quick break?
Yeah, that's what we're going to need to do. I didn't see that. We'll ask Fred and the others to hold on just for a little bit because we will be right back just after this. And we are back and we are ready. And a common mistake made when purchasing a vehicle to carry a power wheelchair on the back of a vehicle is confusing the towing capacity to the tongue weight of a rear-mounted hitch. And if all is not properly calculated, you may spend money installing equipment on something that will not carry what you need it to carry. And again, gives an expert a call, someone like Daryl's Herbal Adaptive Driving Solution. Okay, we will be going to the calls any second. I thought it might be kind of neat to read the Tech Tip quiz again.
Okay.
And, of course, the winner will receive CNC Auto Show coffee mug, CNC Auto Show hat, and also the famed I Answered the Tech Tip quiz golf shirt. And here is the question that we have. It is... Oh, and I mentioned that this is a true story. Miss Johnson had a 2002 Lincoln Town Car. It would not spin over on cold mornings. We checked the car and found that there was nothing wrong. If nothing was wrong with the car, why did the car fail to spin over on cold mornings? And if someone knows the answer to that, they will be a winner. And John Ryan, who will we be talking to?
Let's go over to Fred.
Good morning, Fred, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
AB, can you select Fred for us, please? There we go.
Hello,
okay,
Fred.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hello.
What can we help with this morning?
Question for you. The gentleman just brought up about gas, the before and after. And I think I got a question and a comment. On yesterday, I rented a vehicle through the company and went up to North Carolina. And I got in the vehicle, and I came to a stop, and then all of a sudden, the young lady that was driving with me, she panicked, and of course I was surprised too, and the vehicle just shut down. And then of course, you know, she was spazzing, oh, the vehicle shut off, and come to find out it was an echo vehicle, which I wasn't aware of it either.
Yeah,
also,
start, stop.
And of course, when you hit gas, it start, stop. So what's the concept on those vehicles?
Well, use less gas.
Yeah, just that. Just of course,
Right.
I hate to compare it to a golf cart, but think about a gas golf cart. You could sit there all day long, and you press the gas, and it takes off, and then you go to the next hole, and basically that's what it's doing. Rather than sitting there idling at a traffic light, it does. It shuts off, saves fuel. A lot of neat things are even starting them up. A lot of the alternators are now the starters also, so they're kind of conserving space, weight, and everything. So it's really a neat system.
Yeah, I think it's
Right,
there's more and more cars with that now. A huge number of cars with it now.
Mercedes,
and of
BMW.
course, I mentioned one time before on the show that there was a time when people didn't want their car to cut off at a traffic light. Now it's completely normal for a car to cut off at a traffic light. Also, there'll be things like the BAS system, the belt alternator, and starter system, and what they'll be doing. And on many cars they have it now. But it's an actual electric motor that assists in the initial takeoff of the vehicle, because that's when the most fuel is used under initial takeoff. So a lot of neat systems like this, and I really think it's going to be a good system.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to find out, more of the technical side, because when the vehicle starts back up, it's not like you sit there and turn the key over. It's just automatically just, start
Ready to
right
go.
up. So we
Right.
go.
And some of the challenges that they met when they were doing that is of course it takes a healthy ignition system. I mean a battery system, electrical
crank it
system.
up, yeah.
But also on top of that, they had to find ways to keep the AC system to be able to charge or to run even when the car is in the off position. So many of those have a lot of things that were traditionally ran off of the engine now will run off of electric motors on there. So, it's turning out to be a very neat setup.
Okay, great. All righty. Thank you, sir.
And thank you very much for the call. And if you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, any Saturday morning, 8 to 10, give us a call, 706-863-5800. And John Ryan, where will we go to?
Well, Aaron, we got about 3 minutes left. I think we can get David.
I know we can get David. Let's talk to him. David in South Carolina, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show.
Good morning. Thank you.
And what can we help with?
Well, I wanted to take a shot at a tech tip quiz.
So let's bring Blue out. That'll be the first step.
Let's see if we can get him.
Step 1. Step 2 is to tell David all eyes are on you.
Oh, I thought step 2 was fine.
All right. No pressure. All right.
Okay, we're ready.
I was wondering if Miss Johnson's hands were cold in the morning and perhaps she didn't have the strength to turn the key, or maybe she had gloves on and just didn't quite have the strength to turn the key all the way on a cold morning.
David, are you willing to work with me just a little bit here?
I can.
All right, now what happens to many people on a cold morning with their joints and things like that?
Right, arthritis.
Ooh! Wait for it. David, you are the winner. Miss Johnson had arthritis in her hand, and she was not able to turn the key far enough when her hands were cold to crank the car. And she went to Adaptive Driving Solutions, and they installed her a key leverage device that made the key easier to turn. And I will tell you, I have run into this 2 times in my career where someone had an intermittent no start. Some mornings their car just would not start. And finally, I did go to one lady's house that wouldn't start, and I said, call me when it does it. Let me come see you. And I went and visited, and sure enough, she would turn the key. It wouldn't quite go far enough, and I'd show her that I could turn it a little more, and it would start. And she was completely happy with that, and we installed that device, and she was absolutely fine. So, David, you're absolutely right, and you are now one of the proud, a Tech Tip Quiz winner. And if you'll stay on the line, actually get all the information so that we can make sure you get your prize material. And we appreciate it.
That is fantastic. Do you have time to answer one question for me?
We
Yeah,
do
if we can
have
put
time.
you through the break real quick, you mind holding?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It won't take but
Sure,
a second.
sure.
We'll be right back.
Thanks.
And it is time for the break. That did sneak up on us really fast.
Yeah, it was playing in your ear,
When we
but okay.
return, we'll answer David's question, and also we'll mention a feature that many vehicles now have that can make driving with a disability much more comfortable. We'll be right back. We are back. We did get an answer to our tech tip quiz. That was kind of neat. David won. Congratulations, David. And I feel that many vehicles now have items that can make driving with a disability a lot easier than it used to be. And one is autonomous cruise control, which is also called ACC, adaptive cruise control, radar cruise control, a lot of terms for it. But the system uses either radar or laser to automatically adjust a vehicle's speed to maintain a safe distance from vehicles ahead of it. And it actually slows down and accelerates for you. So
Very
you don't
neat
have
system,
to sit there
yeah.
and keep taking it off a cruise, back on, and all that other stuff. Real neat feature. So it's if you're thinking about another vehicle.
It's kind of a more efficient cruise.
It is, and it's very comfortable to drive. And, of course, what that's doing is it's a forerunner to future generations of intelligent cars because, of course, what they're moving toward is eventually not having to touch the wheel when you're on the interstate. You just
Well, we already know that's in the making.
It is. Okay.
Let's go straight to Chuck.
Great idea. Good morning, Chuck. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Aaron, I appreciate you taking my call. I just want to let you know that you had fixed the problem in my daughter's car, which she doesn't have anymore. But a couple of years ago, it was hard cranking and wouldn't start, and you're the only person that could get it fixed, and we appreciated that. But I got another problem with another car that she has. She's got an 09 Honda, and it will crank, but it doesn't always fire. And we put a new battery in it. She lives in Atlanta, but I'm going to have the car back here next week. And I was wondering if you could take a look at it. But I was wondering if you have any idea what that would be.
Chuck,
it's an 09 Honda Accord. It's a 4-cylinder, and it will crank, but it doesn't always fire.
Okay, so the engine will physically turn over and over and over, spin, but it will not run, correct?
Yes, sir.
There has been some issues with the crankshaft position sensors on those. Basically, what it does is it monitors the engine's revolutions or rotation, and if that sensor, for whatever reason, does not read, or the PCM does not see that sensor, it doesn't know when to fire the spark plugs, doesn't know when to fire the injectors, and can cause that type problem. Short of that, there are Honda has had some issues with fuel pumps, but I would say by far and way more common would be the crankshaft position sensor.
And Chuck, I'm going to mention one other thing, and of course, no doubt, we absolutely love to work on it, and I appreciate all the kind words too. But there's a lot of people that may have kids that may be in Atlanta that's not able to come home at certain times, or they may be in another city that this show plays at that they're not able to come here. For instance, if they're in Charleston, if they're in Columbia, somewhere like that, and listening to the show, they might say, well, where in the world should I take my car if I wanted to find a shop that's able to repair something like this? And I always mention to them, go to NapaAutoCare.com, and there's a little find a shop deal.
Search window.
And we get a lot of customers. We may get one that their daughter moved to Oregon and said that she's going to be going to school there. They'd say, Aaron, how in the world am I supposed to find a shop? He said, we've always come here. Where can she take the car? And, of course, we do the same thing there, NapaAutoCare.com. You find some really neat shops like that. But on hers, since luckily she's close enough to be able to drive back, we would absolutely love to look at it, and we would be able to test it out. And in the meantime, what's really helpful is to get ideas of how often it does it.
Rhyme or reason.
Does it matter whether it's raining or not raining? Is it hot, cold, driving a long time, short period of time? All that information helps a huge amount when we're looking for a problem like that.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll mention that to her. But like I say, you folks are the only ones who are able to figure that thing out. And on her, she had a Malibu, I think it was a 05 Malibu, and that thing just cranked and cranked and cranked. It wouldn't fire. And you're the only one that could figure it out, and even the factory people couldn't figure it out.
Well,
so that was
very
really
much
amazing.
Appreciate those nice words.
It was really amazing. So appreciate it. I went to your car show you had there last year. You going to have another one this year?
We will, March 19th, coming up.
March 19th. Okay, sounds good.
Right. And thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks very, very much. I really enjoyed the show.
We appreciate your call, too.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
And 706-863-5800. Anywhere that you might be on a Saturday morning, 8 to 10, give us a call. And where are we going to, John?
And we're actually going back to David. He had a question for us. I messed up and didn't get him first.
David, sorry about that. Welcome back to the show.
All right.
And David Aaron did
Thank
that.
you.
I didn't do it, David. John Ryan did that.
No problem. No problem.
What was your question you had?
I've got a 2002 GMC Envoy.
Mm-hmm.
Got about 203,000 miles on it. It's a one-owner vehicle. But I've been trying to track down a loss in fuel economy. I had a bad catalytic converter. Swapped that out, and all my lights, all my codes went away. But I still have probably about a 3 mile per gallon loss in fuel economy. And one thing I've been noticing is that my post-cat O2 sensor continues to vary in voltage, and I thought it was supposed to kind of stabilize.
Yeah, that's very good. You're hitting the same area I was going to ask about. No doubt, something typically causes a catalytic converter to go bad, whether it be an injector sticking open or raw fuel or something like that. What we see a lot of times is the upstream O2 sensor can be very lazy, switch at a very slow rate. Obviously, not slow like to the naked eye, but as far as, switching and the computer adjusting the fuel trims accordingly, it can be slow enough to not adjust it fast enough to get good economy and possibly even take out that catalytic converter.
Kind of like I was going to give that answer, and you beat me to it.
I can help that.
I'm concerned. I'm definitely concerned.
I was going to say the same thing also.
Right. But no, you're definitely hitting on the right thing. Now, you can judge typically what a catalytic converter is doing by the downstream, like you mentioned. And if it's switching, you never want to see those two sensors mirror because, of course, that means that the catalytic converter is not being efficient. It's doing the same thing that upstream's doing. So if it does switch, you can see it switch a little bit, but you don't really, especially wide open throttle is a good test to see what it should do. But that may have you. That's the part we normally face. And I just replaced it upstream.
Yeah, I did.
See, David, you got to stop us with these things, man.
Well, I'm trying.
No,
I got a question exactly on the train of thought you're on. Is I found a technical service bulletin on those Multec 2 fuel injectors.
Right. Yes.
And they have a test in there. I don't have the equipment to do it. Where
you do the power balance? Yeah, that is a cool test.
Okay. So you guys can do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. I can see it in my hand. Tech 2, you hit F4 and purge them and watch the fuel gauge and everything.
And it pulses each injector.
It does, yeah, individually. What it does is it primes the fuel system, and we'll say that fuel pressure runs about 60, fully primed up, and then you go to number 1, you actuate it, record what it dropped to. We'll say it drops to 58. We go to number 2, we'll say it drops to 58. If we go to number 3 and it drops to 22, you have one either sticking or, of course, mechanically hanging, and of course that would definitely, cause that issue.
I'd love to see an actual bad injector at this point. Do you know how much a test like that runs?
Well, typically our test to do all the things, that, and of course that includes monitoring the catalytic converter and all the systems, would run about $105, computer diagnostics.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well,
we're all out of time, though, David. We sure do appreciate your phone call.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right.
Thank you, David. And it's time to shut this hour down, but soon we'll be cranking up another hour. And thank you to our show producers, Sherry Moxley, Bert Dean, Ashley Brown, Zach Llewellyn, Tyler Baker, and Troy Bradley. John Ryan and I would like to say thank you to all those that tuned in, logged in, and a special thank you to all those that called in. We appreciate you riding with us on the CNC Auto Show, and remember that you can watch us live on Saturday mornings at ccautoshow.com. You can also catch us on Facebook and watch past shows on YouTube.
Bye-bye.